At this time, I'd like to call the September 27, 2016 Board of Adjustments meeting into order. I'm going to do roll call. Start with Mr. Chairman Brad Walker's absent. Brandon Bennett absent. Mr. Steve Jovion.
Present.
Mr. Eddie Crass.
Present.
Mr. Willie Robinson.
Present.
And I'm Devin Graham, Vice Chair, present. At this time, I'd like to open a public hearing. If anybody has any comments they'd like to make about the Board of Adjustments, please step forward and make those comments. If it's about an individual item, we'll have time for that too. Nobody stepping forward. I'd like to close the public hearing for comments. At this time, I'd like to accept the minutes from our last meeting, from the August 23rd meeting.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Steve Jovion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Willie Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. This time, I'd like to accept the written decisions of the August 23rd, 2016 Board of Adjustments meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Steve Jovion, seconded by Willie Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
And that's accepted. Oh, sorry, all in favor. That's accepted. All right, at this time, we're going to start the public hearing to consider the following variances. Zoning review ID PZ-1082.16 for Lot 7 of the Riverbend Development Subdivision for Mr. Harold Rosselli. I'm sorry, the property is located on the south side of Homeport Drive, approximately 10,900 feet or 2.06 miles east of Highway 22. Please tell us what you're trying to do, sir.
Yes. My name's Harold Rosselli. I was here last meeting. I don't know if everyone was here. What I had prepared for last meeting was just a brief explanation. And it was denied, and I'm here with more detail for you guys. I had printed up something and handed it in. I don't know if everyone got a copy. I'd like to go over it, please.
Yes, sir.
My name's Harold Rosselli, and I presently reside in St. Bernard Parish. My wife, Janet Eno Rosselli, originally from Ascension Parish, actually, Donaldsonville. We have been planning on building our retirement home here in Ascension Parish so we could be near our family, mainly her family. My property address is 11439 Homeport Drive in St. Amant. I am requesting a variance of Rule 17-201 of the Ascension Parish Development Code, which was originally established in 1999. The address of the adjoining property on my east side is 11429 Homeport, and this home was built in 2008 with a setback of 5 feet. When the original variance request was made by the to the Board of Adjustments in August, the alternative was suggested by the board to flip the property rather than using any variance for a setback change to flip the property and put the driveway on that side. That was posted to me or presented to me, and I told them at that time that we didn't feel was feasible, and I have an explanation why. However, after considering this option, along with all the negative side effects that would be produced, it proved to be infeasible and very costly, both initially and monthly as time went on. Presently, the east side of the property where the driveway would go is limited to accessibility due to already established phone equipment by the phone service department. Also, the home was designed to shield my windows from the setting west sun. Originally, our plans were designed with no windows on the west side in order to avoid the heat, whereas a flip would expose 5 windows to direct sun rays, whatever setting afternoon. I was also told that there are some requirements that needed to be met, so I also concentrated on that. One was a unique circumstance. I was advised by the Ascension Parish Planning and Zoning Group that the required setback for my property was 5 feet. I had called around February or early March of this year. Before I completed the plans, I called to get a definite, what is the setback? I was told 5 feet, and it wasn't from a secretary or just a bypasser. It was one of the planning group. So I was told that the setback was 5 feet, like my neighbor's is. I had the survey group come out, and when they measured that and measured theirs was 5 feet also. I had inquired proactively in the beginning of the year in an attempt to avoid problems like we're having right now, long before completing my plans. This setback violation was brought to my attention by a survey group during mid-July when I was trying to have the plans printed up, finalized. That is when I applied for the variance. The next thing is unnecessary hardship. This error, which is not my fault and one that I attempted to avoid approximately 6 months ago, will result in both costs to edit the already completed and paid in full house plans and the inconvenience of a time setback that will be required to edit and restructure the floor plans. The third thing was necessity. My property parcel is 100 wide by 200 feet deep. The house plans, the way they're drawn, and I drew them after I found out I needed to keep 5 for a setback. The house plans with the attached garage will occupy 72.5 feet in width. The driveway, which will be 22.5 feet wide for a turning garage, thus leaving the 5 feet for the setback. That will be used as a setback on the east side of the property. Gentlemen, I'm primarily appealing your ruling of the August meeting's variance request in that all the board's suggested options have been considered and reconsidered since your ruling by me, my contractor who's here with me, and the guy that did the plans, my design group, but to no avail. However, I am considering a compromise alternative plan to the board's August 23rd decision as a second option. However, I feel that any and all changes, which would include Plan B, which is a second option, from the original proposed plan that was requested in August could lead to possible future lasting inconveniences for neighboring residents. And I must note that these changes, which are all within Ascension Parish Code requirements and rules, will only be brought on if any changes are actually needed and must be made. Therefore, I'm primarily requesting Plan A, a match to the home setback next door to me at 11429 Homeport, which has an original setback of 5 feet from the slab to the property line, or an alternative Plan B, which will require changes, which is a compromise of 7.5 feet from the slab to the property line. Your consideration is appreciated. I'm trying to get this thing started. It wasn't in the game plan. It wasn't something that I planned for, expected, because if I would have known about it, like I said last time, I wouldn't be here right now. I would have kept that all in perspective when we did the plans.
Yes, sir.
I have brought a copy because I remember last time it was told to you that I'm going to be building a shotgun house. It's not a shotgun house, if people know what they're referring to. This is a full house. It's something that I plan to retire to, and I'm just asking for your variance.
Yes, sir.
You did ask me last time, would I compromise? I didn't have the plans in front of me. I couldn't see exactly what I had in front of me. Yes, I spoke to my contractor. We looked at it. Yes, I do have a compromise in that 7.5 feet, but to do that, I'll have to relocate my air conditioning units, which is taking up space on the driveway side. And that's what I mentioned in here. The only reason why I mention it, because I would appreciate if you kind of flip the situation, put me on the other side, I would appreciate people telling me that beforehand rather than having issues with it after. But any changes, that's whether I make them now or if this variance is denied and I have to resize my home, that's how it's going to go. I'll have to just put the air conditions back there to eliminate that 2.5 feet plus that they're taking up on the driveway side.
Okay. Gentlemen, got any questions? I think the last time it was a 5-foot variance, right?
That's correct.
And now we're at 7.5 variance.
That would be my compromise because
Yes, sir.
from that 5 to the 7, which is halfway.
Yes, sir.
Guys, just to point out to you, your decision on the 5-foot is final, and you can't reconsider it or appeal it, but any other variance he can request.
Yes, sir.
So 5.5, 6 feet, this 5-foot has been finally made, so.
Yes, sir.
Just one, you ought to be aware of that one.
Okay.
Question. Mr. Harrell,
Yes.
you said something about the air conditioners. I don't think they count as part of the being in the building setback.
Excuse me?
The air conditioning units do not count as being in the building setback.
Your AC unit is not part of the structure, therefore it's not part of our setback requirements. It can be within that.
Correct, they could be in that
Yes, sir.
setback
We just
area.
wanna clear that up.
On that side, correct?
Yeah, you wouldn't have to put it on the driveway side is what I'm saying.
Correct,
yeah.
and that's what the plan is. If I do need to make adjustments taking off of the driveway side, that 2.5 feet to add on to the east side of the property for that setback, then I'll just move the ACs over there.
Okay. All right, well, at this time, we're gonna open public comment period. If anybody wishing to speak on this item, come step forward, please, if you already signed in. If you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Farrah Morris,
Yes, ma'am.
and I've lived here for years, and in fact, I lived in a trailer on Colonial Oaks, if you know where Colonial Oaks. We saved our money, and we bought this home. We didn't buy this home just as a retirement, but as an investment. We're hoping that one day we'll be able to sell it, and it will be able to take care of us in a nursing home instead of the state taking care of us. So anything that we want to change to it, we want to make sure that we keep all the value of that house. I don't feel like if another property is right on top of me, if I go to buy a house, I'm going to say, why would I want to live or buy that house that's right next to it? No other house on the whole street is 5 feet from the next one. That's way too close for any property to be that close. And of course, it's going to cause flooding. If he pushes his house back, he'll have to pull a retainer wall. That retainer wall is going to cause flooding on my property. The water's going to come up into my house. And this has already been a hardship for me. I already had to pay for a survey. I have to re-put my fence back up that was pulled down. I have flooded property here that I don't have time to really be dealing with this. But this is my home and where I live at. I've tried to be consistent with the neighborhood and be a good neighbor. And we want our home to look like everybody's. We want it to be consistent, be a beautiful area. We don't want to stick out like a sore thumb. If you're driving down the street and he has a lot of property on that other side to move that way, there's nothing over there on the other side. All they got is a swimming pool over there. Their home is not there. So to move over closer that way, it shouldn't be a problem. I don't understand why he has to be right on top of us. Why? That's my issue. I mean, it really concerns me, and I appreciate your ruling that you ruled with. All I want is you abide by the rules. What the parish says it is, we abide by it. My father was an architect and a home builder. Anytime he was building anything, he never relied on a phone call. He went to the parish, he talked to the Laverne bourgeois, and he got it straight from the horse's mouth because there's too many people up there at the parish. There's people coming in and out, and you have to make sure you're getting your records right before he ever built a pad or even had a plan plans drawn up, he made sure he had all those permits in place. That's what you do. But I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else wanting to speak? Could you sign in?
Okay, my name is Clayton Boudreau with Boudreau Builders. I'm getting ready to start the process for them, and I'd like to address the question she had about the water retention. I want to make sure we do take care of her, and my owners wants to make sure we do not have any water, either by a swale or retention wall, to make sure there's no water. If you go out there right now, you'll actually see the properties almost completely level. What I was going to do is put like a swale, like a little gully between the properties, like you go down Homeport, you'll see that quite often, where the water can no way go onto another neighbor's property. So in other words, her water would drain from her roof and go into this little swale, and then my clients also, anything in that area would go into the swale and out to either the front or towards the back. So I want to make sure that gets addressed with that, and so if I want to make sure of that issue, and then any other issues you had about the retention of property. I want to get ready to build a very expensive home. So it'd be like a lot of other homes on that street where they're real nice. This is going to be the style she's talking about is going to be a Gothic, very beautiful home. So it's going to, a lot of money to be spent on this thing. So it's not going to be decreasing the value. I can assure you the money they're spending when this house goes up is going to actually increase the value of the actual home. I don't know if you have any other questions as a contract that can help answer any questions you might have.
John?
Okay.
No, sir.
All right.
If you would, please sign a card and make sure
Okay,
Patrice
sure.
gets it. Thank you. Anybody else willing to speak? I'm gonna get back to you. Let me close. All right, at this time, I'd like to close public hearing. All right, sir, you can come back up.
Yes. One thing I would like to mention, my neighbor mentioned something about she didn't want houses too close. Right now, they are 5 feet off of the property line. They have a 5-foot setback. When they built that house, the requirements were 10 feet off of the property line. That ruling or code was initiated, I was told, in 1999. Their house was built in 2008. I'm not going to be that 5 like she is. I'm asking for 7.5. And if that isn't enough, because then it's still going to be smaller than, if I would put it at 10, it would still be smaller than the others because she is in violation.
Well,
She is in
sorry,
violation.
I was going to say, well, we're speaking on that. They may have had a variance. I'm not sure, so.
I checked, sir. I checked. No variance was recorded, put it that way.
I just want to say that we're talking about your piece of property. Don't want to stay
But
on.
no variance was
topic of
recorded
that.
as far as that goes, and, because that was one of the first things that I asked. Well, wait a minute, does she have a variance then?
Yes, sir, but.
And,
on
and,
yours.
and that was to know, no record.
Okay.
And so I'm not asking, I'm doing like you had suggested last time.
Yes, sir.
I'm compromising. And as far as water goes, I'm originally from St. Bernard Parish. St. Bernard Parish, it's a parish ordinance that your water has to flow to the front of your property. You can't go to the side. I didn't plan on going to the side.
Yes, sir.
But at the same token, I'm just trying to go ahead and build something. This is so new, and I mentioned this to Lance the other day. This is a new animal for me because I was raised, I've been in St. Bernard over 50 years. St. Bernard is a very close-knit community. It's a neighbor helping neighbor area, and it's like one big family. I seem to be finding it's not like that here, at least with these experiences that I'm having now. But I'm just asking for your variance.
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, you got any questions for the homeowner, for the landowner?
I don't.
All right.
You had some suggestions, I looked into it. We can't.
I do have a comment I'd like to make, that, you know, it's as far as the lady, I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but I think it's a law that your neighbor can't flood your property, so.
Correct.
If he does flood your property, him and his builder will be responsible for rebuilding your house, so we have that to fall back on.
Okay. Move to the neighbor? Oh, yeah, I'm sure you can. Cody, would it be okay to ask the neighbor a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, I have a question. I mean, obviously,
If you wouldn't mind stepping forward in response, please, thank you.
you guys are obviously going to be neighbors,
Absolutely.
providing, you know, this construction takes place. With that being said, is there, what did you have, I mean, what would you think would be, as a neighbor with the house, what's your opinion of a decent distance? I mean, what do you think is realistic?
Well, what everyone else has, and that house was built in 2005.
What is it specifically?
Like
Do
10
we
to
know?
15 feet. Everyone has, you know, when you drive down Homeport, you can actually see through that, between the houses, you can see the water. So you can see the boats as they go down. And that swell is a polite way of saying a ditch, a drainage ditch that fills with water with mosquitoes and snakes. And there is no swells down no properties on Homeport, none. What they did, they were smart enough, the builder had them put these big metal drainage, and the home builders put them, and the water drains, and it actually goes up under the road to the swamp.
I'm just trying to figure out what compromise between neighbors. I mean,
It's like 10, everyone down there is 10 or 15 feet away,
Okay.
you know, and we didn't build the house, we bought the house, it was already built in 2005. I don't know what the variance was there, but if I was building a home, I would make sure.
Well, just real quick, respectively, the variance he's requesting will put you at 12 and a half feet between the two homes. Lance, you had a comment? Is that?
That's correct. It'd be 12 and a half if the request is 7 and a half.
Yeah. So,
I just want you to go with the rule, whatever ruling, whatever the law, whatever you have, that's what because the home's not built. You can make changes. My father was architect. He
Yes.
made houses
Yes,
5 feet wider and shorter all the time.
yes, ma'am. I thank you for coming back up.
All right, thank you.
Steve, Willie, any more? Anybody got a motion?
And sir, the reason I'm asking for this is so we don't have to go back and redo the plans. And it'll cost me money then. It will cost me big time then, because I've already paid my architect in full for those plans that he's drawn. And I know if I go tell him, no, we have to make all these edits, then he's gonna give me another bill. If I would have been told this in the beginning, we wouldn't be, I wouldn't be facing this situation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whatever on the hardship would be on neighbors and stuff, not cost, so.
That's all I was gonna say. No.
I can't make it, so. Which one y'all wanna do?
Me,
Just asking for a compromise like you asked me last time, sir.
My opinion is not a bad compromise. Need a motion, gentlemen.
All right. I'm reluctant to, but I'm gonna make a motion to accept the variance at 7.5 feet.
As written.
Yes.
Got a motion to accept as written by Mr. Steve Joffrion.
Which would give us the 12 and a half feet, correct?
In between houses.
In between, opposed to
Right now it'd be 15.
15, so it's 2.5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 variance.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
So you can second it?
Yeah, I'm in a second.
And a second by Mr. Eddie Krass. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes as written. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'd like to move forward to zoning review ID PZ-1083.16 for Lot A-2 for Murphy Oil USA Incorporated and Pan American Engineers LLC. Mr. Ron Borlon, property located on the west side of US Highway 61, Airline Highway, approximately 420 feet south of Perkins Road. Anybody here to represent the request?
Good afternoon. I'm Wesley Miller. Ron Bordelon couldn't be here. I'm with Pan American Engineers. A little background on this. As you know, there is an existing Murphy fueling station at the Walmart in Prairieville. We plan to come in, tear down the canopy, rip up all the concrete, take the fuel tanks out the ground, utilities, everything. Put in a bigger store, more fuel islands. At every fuel island, there'll be an option for diesel, gas, ethanol free at every island. You'll actually be able to go inside this store. All the stuff that's outside will come inside. Our building plans have been approved by Mr. Laverne Bourgeois, Health Department, State Fire Marshal, everybody. What we're asking for today is a variance to increase the amount of signage allowed for our pylon sign. The allowable amount, off my memory, is around 68 square foot. That's a pretty small pylon sign to advertise 3 types of fuel. We are requesting around 209, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but it's around 209 square foot that we are requesting, and that'll be able to advertise unleaded, diesel, and ethanol free. And it'll be the 30-foot max height, which is what's allowed. So it's just the area, not the height that we're asking for a variance on.
Yes, sir.
Question. I'm looking at this picture here, and big old picture.
Yes, sir.
Y'all asking for a variance on the pylon sign out by the road and not on the canopy, right?
Yes, sir. As I understand, there's no restrictions on our canopy signage.
Okay, all right.
Canopy would be part of the structure, so. Okay, just to clear it up real quick, the proposed sign will be 208.95 square feet, and the current standards of the parish is 68.3 square feet, and it is determined by the size of the store. So the variance they're requesting is 140.65 square feet.
Right, and then the small, our square foot of our store, it's small, and that's what's killing us.
Yeah, the footprint of the building
Right.
is.
Question. You said the ethanol free price, and what is the other price, diesel?
Yes, sir.
Are those prices on any other Murphy store location?
Yes, our typical sign package is exactly what you're looking at: unleaded, diesel, ethanol free. Now we've just added ethanol free, so if you ride around and you don't see it, our new stores that we're building, we are putting that. We just built one in Covington, and we have all 3 advertised.
Did you have to get a variance?
We did not. Well, in Covington, we got a monument sign. So let me.
It's lower.
Yeah, in Covington, it's a monument sign. It's not a pylon sign.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'd like to get this out of the way real quick. I'd like to open public hearing. Being there's no one here to speak, I'd like to close public hearing. All right. Gentlemen?
Another question. The square footage thing we're talking about here is for the total of all 3 signs, or just the big one on top?
Just the pylon, and I believe it's the square footage divided by 50, plus you get 2 square foot per. You get 1 square foot per 2. Help me out, Lance.
I don't
Just let
need.
Lance take this one over.
I don't need all that. I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we're looking for a variance. The picture I'm looking at, you have the same picture?
Yes, sir. It's just this right here.
So it's all 3 of them. Is
Yes,
what
sir.
you need
All 3.
variance. Okay.
Yes, sir. It's the combination that makes up that amount.
Okay.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not just the big red one, it's diesel and ethanol free. So that's the tricky one. I was about to say, because if you look at the big sign alone what, 100,
150-ish.
yeah, as I said, I don't want to be on record saying this, but yeah, 150 to 160 square feet long. Which, by the way, is bigger than we allow.
It's like huge, it's 10 and a half by 15.
Let me ask, if I may, will you also have these prices on the canopy? If, I know it's not part of the subject, but it is. They will be advertised on the structure of the building as well as a sign by the highway, correct?
Correct, and the sign on the highway is to try to pull more business off of airline. You know, to come in and justify doing these renovations. Murphy wants a little bit more business. They're not going to get any more business from Walmart.
Yes, sir.
Walmart business is what it is. So they're trying to pull more from airline, and they want a big sign to be able to advertise that to the drivers on airline.
Yes, sir.
So you think that's a hardship? Or
I
that's
think
just a
the
request?
I don't think money can be considered a hardship. I
Right.
think that the hardship that we would be facing is that we have a small footprint of our building. If we were a larger store, we'd be able to have a larger sign. It's a 1,400 square foot building. And it's just killing us on what we're allowed. 68 square foot for a pylon sign is, in my opinion, is small to advertise fuel price. We've done these all over the country, and where pylon signs are allowed, some places they're just not allowed altogether. But where they are, 68 is small.
Lance, do we have anything in comparison in the parish?
Compared to this sign?
Right, I mean, another gas station. Do we
What
have any
about the Murphy's
variance?
here in
Yeah, I'm not
Gonzales?
sure about the one in
What is this
Gonzales.
for?
I'm not sure. It's all generated through what the square footage of the building and how much frontage or linear feet that you have. So based on those calculations, that's how much sign face that you're allowed to have.
And in Gonzales, that's a 4,000 square foot store. I don't know the signage off the top of my head, so I don't want to say. But we did that store as well.
Right, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, that's a larger store. It's 4,000.
And do it have the ethanol and the diesel on the?
I don't think Gonzales has it. Gonzales
That's
was
fine.
right around that time where we started adding ethanol free.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's why I had asked the question.
sure, yeah.
So do we have any variances that you're aware of on record that would be similar?
No, sir, not for signs. No, sir. I don't know if I'm not gonna say we haven't granted variances for signs, but as far as I know, there's not many that we've done.
Usually it's height. If we do. Wow.
That's,
And if you guys couldn't allow such a large increase, I'd be open to anything more that we could get. If you give us a number, I can go back to the architect and say, hey, this is how much they're willing to give us. Design your sign to meet this square footage.
to stay consistent with what we have on record, or is there anything out there that you could?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of. Majority of them meet the requirements.
There is right near our store, there's a gas station, and I don't know the size of their sign, but it's larger than 68 square foot.
Which one is that, sir?
I don't know.
If
It
you're,
might be, it's right, it's at the,
say, it's gonna be at the corner of Airline and Old Perkins. would be,
exactly.
And those were existing prior to.
Gotcha.
But, all right, just to give all an idea, 68 square feet, you'd be talking about a 10 by 6 sign, so plus or minus, plus.
Yeah. I'm having trouble with such a large variance, and I wish we had something to compare it to in the area. 10 by 15 seems enormous to me, especially during a hurricane, something that becomes a big sale. I could be wrong on that. I don't know much about signs. But my main problem is such a large variance, you know, we're talking
70
70%?
70 feet, roughly.
No, 140 feet variance,
Oh, 140.
140 square feet. So that's, the variance alone is
It's almost, it's a little over twice the size.
is
That's a lot.
2.5 times the
That's what we
required
struggled.
size, and I don't know what the reasoning for the required size is.
That's what we struggled with last month, I believe, on it.
And I'll say, typically, the smallest we like to go, we have gone smaller, but typically the smallest we like to go is 120 square foot. to be able to, for a sign to be big enough to have 3 fuel types and drive and not have to squint your eyes and drive past, and to be able to see it visibly, 120 square foot, and that's advertising 3 different prices. So it's not one sign that's 10 bucks.
I've always driven by there and had no problem reading the one on the canopy
Yes,
for the
sir.
last
To me, I mean,
several years. It's just a huge variance. And the hardship, I really don't see the hardship other than money-wise, you know?
So, get a motion, or?
I'll make a motion to deny.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Willie Robinson to deny as written, seconded by Mr. Steve Joffrion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
sir.
Thank you. I don't blame them for asking.
Old business? Anybody got any old business? No, new business. Any, applications? One application, and we're for sure 2 available spots right now. Anything else?
Nope.
Motion adjourned? Anybody?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Willie Robinson, second by Mr. Eddie Kras. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank y'all.